In the vibrant city of Yathrib, which would later be known as Medina, a young girl named Nusaibah bint was born into the tribe of the Khazraj. Her family was among the influential tribes of Medina, and she grew up in a deeply rooted Arab culture, steeped in honor, loyalty, and tradition. Yet what would truly define Nusaibah's legacy wasn't her birth or her family status, but the strength of her spirit, her courage, and her unshakable faith in Allah and His messenger. Though details about her early life are scarce, we can imagine Nusaibah as a young girl filled with curiosity, growing up in an environment where tales of ancient Arab heroes were told, and tribal loyalty was paramount. However, the arrival of Islam in her city would soon reshape her destiny, leading her down a path of unwavering belief, heroism, and closeness to Allah. When the Prophet Muhammad began spreading the message of Islam in the early 7th century, it didn't take long for this new faith to reach Medina. Nusaibah, along with many of her fellow tribesmen and women, embraced the message wholeheartedly. She was among the early Muslims in Medina, accepting Islam with her heart full of conviction. Her acceptance of Islam was not just a passive belief, but a transformative experience that would shape every aspect of her life. The pledge of Aqaba, a woman's devotion. One of the first monumental moments in Nusaibah's life was her participation in the Bayat al-Aqaba, or the Pledge of Aqaba. This event was a turning point in Islamic history, marking the formal commitment of the people of Medina to support the Prophet Muhammad and the fledgling Muslim community. It was a solemn pledge made by representatives from the tribes of Aus and Khazraj, including both men and women, to protect the Prophet and defend Islam even at the cost of their lives. Nusaibah was one of only 2 women to be present at this critical moment, the other being Asma binti Amr. The pledge was a bold act, showing that Islam was not only a men's struggle, but that women too had an essential role to play in this new movement. Her participation in this pledge was not merely symbolic, it was a commitment to action, and Nusaibah was not one to stand by when the call to action came. This pledge marked the beginning of her active role in the Muslim community. Her devotion to Allah and His messenger was evident, not just in words, but in her readiness to put her life on the line for the cause of Islam. The Battle of Uhud, a moment of immortal valor. The most defining moment of Nusaibah's life, and perhaps the one that etched her name in the annals of Islamic history, came during the Battle of Uhud. The battle, which took place in 625 CE, was one of the most pivotal battles in the early years of Islam. It was during this fierce encounter that Nusaibah's courage and loyalty were tested to their limits. Initially, Nusaibah had come to the battlefield not as a warrior, but as a nurse. Like many women of her time, she was there to tend to the wounded and provide water to the thirsty soldiers. But as the battle raged on, the tide turned against the Muslim forces. When the Quraysh army launched a surprise counterattack, many of the Muslim soldiers were thrown into disarray, and the Prophet Muhammad found himself in great danger. It was at this critical moment that Nusaibah's legendary bravery shone. Seeing that the Prophet was vulnerable to attack, she grabbed a sword and a shield and threw herself into the thick of battle, standing as a human shield to protect him. Nusaibah fought with fierce determination, her focus entirely on safeguarding the messenger of Allah. With her own body, she absorbed the blows of the enemy, cutting down soldiers who dared come close to the Prophet. She sustained numerous wounds during the battle, but Nusaibah was undeterred. The Prophet later remarked on her bravery, saying, "In whichever direction I turned, I saw her fighting to protect me." At one point, her own son Abdullah was injured in the battle. Undaunted, Nusaibah quickly tended to his wound and sent him back into the fight. Her entire family shared her courage, But Nusaibah's valor became the stuff of legend. Her bravery earned her the praise of the Prophet himself, who prayed for her and her family, saying, "May Allah bless your household. The position of Nusaibah today is better than that of so-and-so." She sustained over a dozen wounds in the battle, and one deep cut on her shoulder left her in pain for over a year. Despite this, her spirit never wavered. The Battle of Hunain, a warrior again. Years after the Battle of Uhud, Nusaibah once again found herself on the battlefield, this time during the Battle of Hunain in 630 CE. The battle was a crucial one, fought between the Muslims and a coalition of Bedouin tribes who sought to challenge the growing influence of Islam. By this time, Nusaibah was no longer a young woman, but her courage had not diminished with age. She took up arms again, joining the Muslim forces to defend Islam. Once more, she proved her loyalty and her willingness to fight for the cause of Allah, standing alongside the Prophet and the Muslim army. Though the details of her involvement in Hunain are less well documented than her heroic stand at Uhud, her presence on the battlefield was a testament to her unyielding dedication. The Battle of Yamama, her final stand. The final chapter of Nusaibah's warrior life came during the Battle of Yamama, fought in 632 CE after the death of the Prophet Muhammad. This battle was part of the Ridda Wars, a series of conflicts fought to suppress the rebellion of various Arab tribes who had renounced Islam following the Prophet's death. Among the rebels was a false prophet named Musaylama, who had gathered a large army. The caliph at the time, Abu Bakr, sent Muslim forces to confront Musaylama's army. Nusaibah, though much older by this time, once again took up arms, driven by her desire to defend the truth of Islam and fight against falsehood. The Battle of Yamama was brutal, with heavy losses on both sides. Nusaibah fought with the same courage she had shown at Uhud, determined to see Musaylama's rebellion crushed. During the battle, she sustained severe injuries, including the loss of her arm. Despite her injuries, she fought on until Musaylama was killed and the battle was won. The loss of her arm was a grievous wound, but Nusaibah considered it a small price to pay in the service of Allah and His Messenger. Her son, Habib ibn Zayd, was also martyred in this battle, having been tortured and killed earlier by Musaylama. Nusaibah bore this personal tragedy with the same steadfastness she had shown throughout her life, trusting in Allah's will and remaining firm in her faith. The story of Nusaibah binti Ka'ab al-Anshariyah is a story of an extraordinary woman who lived an extraordinary life. From her early days as one of the first Muslims in Medina to her final stand on the battlefield of Yamama, Nusaibah's life was a testament to the power of faith, courage, and selflessness. Her legacy as a warrior, a mother, a teacher, and a devout servant of Allah continues to inspire and uplift generations of Muslims. Nusaibah's name is synonymous with strength, loyalty, and dedication, not just to her family and community, but to Allah and His Messenger. In the end, Nusaibah's story is a reminder that the greatest battles we fight are not just physical but spiritual, and that the true measure of a person's worth lies in their devotion to Allah, their willingness to sacrifice for the greater good, and their unwavering commitment to truth and justice. May Allah be pleased with Nusaibah binti Ka'ab al-Anshariyah and grant her the highest place in Jannah for her sacrifices, her bravery, and her unshakable faith. Her life will continue to be a beacon of light for all those who seek to walk the path of righteousness. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future content. See you in the next video.